Wow.
with a little camp and everything. Son of a bitch.
He just walked the wrong direction.
No, he walked that way, and he was there all day, trying to get people to help him, and waiting for a truck to come and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You son of a, you left us out here on ourselves, and
wow.
And hung out in air-conditioned buildings, and anyways,
that was a hot, long day in the middle of the desert.
We finally made it home. And then that was the car I used to carry the drums around for the jam sessions.
Look at that. And now you're coming to a neighborhood jam in Newbury Park.
I love it. Well, so the other pictures I had of here were of concerts.
Send them over to me. I'll add
my joke is that I've never taken a clear picture of a concert. I've never taken a clear picture. They all look like probably how most people think our heads are muddled. When we go to concerts.
Yes.
But for some reason I cannot take a focused, clear picture of. But I think I've seen every classic rock band and that's come to LA and the Canyon Club. And
I got two things that I wrote down in my notes with you that I want to make. Maybe it'll be a good thing.
Sorry if I'm a little warm.
No.
You were saying there are two things you want to do?
Two things. I wrote down, he said, tell me about the picture of your granddad, his sword, and his time in World War II.
Can I grab a couple of those?
Absolutely. And then I had wrote down here, the Greeks saved the world, the Russians recovered, or something like that. Something to that point.
Oh, that's amazing.
I'm glad I knew that was going to make you laugh. But let's start with if you don't mind, talk about the picture of your granddad, his sword, and his time in World War II.
So Constantine Yiannakakis was from Crete. He was born in Crete, and joined the resistance there, because at those days it was the Ottomans, the Turks, the Muslims, that conquered most of in the early 1900s, most of Greece, and the Greek resistance, if you will, would be up in the mountains, have these horses and these donkeys that could go sideways down these cliffs, into the camps, kill a bunch of them, and go and disappear again, take their provisions and disappear. So he became a leader of that, and because of that, when Greece formally was independent and became a bona fide country, they sent him to officer school, and he became a high-ranking officer, eventually becoming a brigadier general of the Greek army during the World War II. So that's the personal side of it, but the global side of it that I was talking about is that the Greeks, the Germans came into Greece, quickly conquered it, occupied it, and then their mistake was they had to turn it over to the Italians, their allies, because they had to go fight the Russians on the Eastern Front. The Russians were giving them a hard time. They were killing Germans. Germans were killing them. They kept coming. There was the winter where a lot of Germans died, etc. But they left Greece to the Italians. Okay, and the British resistance came in and said, "Listen, you guys have to fight these guys. You have to build a resistance and fight these guys and poison their food and have the women slash their throats and all these things that resistances do." Terrorists, what we would call terrorists nowadays were resistance fighters. My grandfather was coordinating a lot of that as an army. He wasn't wearing clothes and sneaking into homes, but he was coordinating a lot of the resistance fighters in the north of Greece. And eventually they tied the Italians and Germans that had come back to help the Italians down so much that they weren't able to concentrate on Russia, and Russia was able to make progress. And then, of course, Americans came into Normandy, and as you know, that was the start of. But it's relatively documented that the Greeks' resistance stopped the expansion and kept the Germans busy enough that it gave time for the rest of the countries to recover, and the rest of the armies to recover.
Yeah, I think we were talking about that one time. There's this. There's another.
I have a movie. I have a documentary movie that talks about this.
There's a reason why I'm at least somewhat knowledgeable about that. Well, first of all, both of my parents were history professors, so
cool.
Jeopardy was a nighttime battle in my home. I remember the first night I won, and I drilled it into my mom and dad. I won at Jeopardy. I think I was like 15 or something. And but there's another podcast out there. This guy's last name's Carlin, and he has this podcast called Hardcore History. And it's extremely well-researched, detailed stuff. I highly recommend it. But he's got a whole like 4 or 5 part series. It's like 20 hours of talking about World War II, and he goes on. He mentions that about how the Greek resistance slowed things down and allowed the Allies to mount a proper defense and then come in and get that. But,
yeah, because remember the Americans came into Italy as well, right? They not only came into Normandy, they fought the Germans in North Africa and then went up into Italy. And so it was now as many Jews died in Greece as died not in Germany, but in a lot of the other countries.
Wow.
Almost most of the rest of Europe, other than Germany.
Wow.
They killed a lot of Jews.
So where does his sword come into this?
Yes. So when the resistance overcame the Germans, the military took over. Yeah, of course. Now it's we're going to take credit for it and organize it and make it. My grandfather got on a horse with a sword and the coat and the hat and the lapels and stuff and rode into Thessaloniki, the second largest city, to take it back from the Germans. They surrendered to him.
Wow.
So he was in the Greek Encyclopedia, and they made him a governor of one of the islands and stuff like that. So
wow, that's amazing.
But, I have pictures of that, and I have the coat, the sword, and the hat.
Wow.
And the medals from that.
That's
campaign,
amazing. Well, the next time I have you on, you'll have to bring those over.
Okay.
That'd be
all
great.
Right.
Costa,
yeah,
this
that's
has
right.
been...
You want to do it here because I was going to say you could definitely come there and see him, but yeah, we're and it's the name thing I told you about. In Greece is a lot like the Middle East, that your parents' are big. It's big there. The son of your Connor, son of Sloan, whatever. Mm-hmm. So it's big who you're the son of. I succeeded in Saudi Arabia. I was not a good boy. I was a single partying bachelor type. It's amazing that I was able to get engineering work done. But anyways, because I was my dad's son, and he was a fairly big cheese in the company, and the same thing in Greece because I was my grandfather's son. You were accorded a certain respect. You really didn't deserve it. You really hadn't done anything yourself, but it was humbling. It was really humbling, because people would expect you to be in that ilk, to be in that sort of
expected decorum.
Decorum, there you go. And I was just this hippie punk, long hair, and I actually went to high school in Greece for a couple of years, in northern Greece, American high school. And every time I go down to Athens to see my grandfather was dead by then, but my grandmother, she'd bring all these, well-to-do Athenian families over, to introduce me and stuff like that. And it was like, whoa, this is different than I thought I was. This is not the person I thought I was. But I figured it out. I mean, I knew what I was supposed to act like. I didn't want to make my grandmother look bad. It's a cultural thing. Anyways, he did really well for himself. Lived to 90. Went every week to get his haircut. And one of the times he went to get his haircut, he just didn't come back.
Wow.
Yeah. We were in Saudi Arabia at the time, which was great because Saudi Arabia is only like a 4-hour flight from Greece, So we'd go there 2 or 3 times a year. See them. And, he came to Saudi Arabia and stayed for several months. And, he would sit in front of the TV and try to learn Arabic. They would have this Arabic English. Right. He would sit there and repeat.
That's a tough thing. That's a tough language. It's totally different.
Yeah. Very tough. They call it King's Arabic. They speak there in Saudi Arabia. I'm blessed to have had a great life.
And plus, you weren't on wood anyway. You had to end that one. There you go.
That's right.
There you go.
But I'm glad I'm doing this because, like everyone my age, especially some with lung problems, things are starting to not be in my mind anymore. So it's good that I'm getting them out.
Well, I think there's a reason why you're the first one on.
There you go. Yeah, that's right. Let's not. He's only, No, I appreciate it. I really do.
Well, this has been a joy. You'll come back on. Let me get through a bunch, and then we'll have round 2.
Okay. And it was funny because I expected so much more to structure. You didn't do that. You just let it happen.
It's like I think of it more like jazz. You've got a form to it, but within there, you got to bend and flex. And I think
Do you think it went okay?
I think this went great.
That's important.
Yeah, this
I want you
went better than I could have. Not better than this one. This one is exactly as I hoped it would.
Okay,
Let's put it that way.
I don't want you to be disillusioned. Oh man, this is a waste of time, because I got the weird guy here. But
not at all.
Good.
This is great. Well, let's end there. That's awesome. End of episode 1.
Episode 1.
Yeah.
My wife is so confused by this. I'm going to have to wait.
Well, when
you have like a
when it comes out,
we need to wipe that off.
Oh, don't worry, I'll take care of that. Disinfectant, antimicrobial, everything.
There you go.
This is a medical office. I've got everything here. And when this comes out, send your wife out to go walk around the neighborhood for an hour or so and listen to this and see what she says.
Well, I'm imagining that you're still feeling your way through it anyways, right?
Yeah, I'll probably publish. And thank you again for listening to the Thousand Tales podcast. My name is Connor Logan, and I've been more than happy to be your host. Continue listening to find out more about our area, our little slice of the world, and the people and the experiences and the uniqueness that I've discovered all around me and that I'm happy to share with you. See you again soon.